Come what may, bring it on. I'm gonna love it.
Welcome to LDS Unmarried Life, a podcast for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who are single and happen to find themselves that way either because they are divorced, not yet married, or widowed. There is no affiliation with the church. This podcast can be found on AnnetteTalks.com, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube. And again, I'm going to plug, please go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube page, which is called Annette Talks, so we can get a community discussion going there. And we are now with the same group that did the Come Follow Me topic. And this time we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about what I call marriage envy. How to handle it when other singles are moving on. Hopefully that title speaks for itself. But it's springtime in the Rockies, even though it's snowing. Which I guess I should say, it's springtime in the Rockies and it's snowing because that's what it does here.
Yeah.
But that also brings engagements. Spring fever, when it is nice out, people are, I don't know, they get more Twitter-pated more easily or something. But people are getting engaged right and left. And so for those of us who are not in a relationship or not engaged or maybe haven't had a date since December, not that I'm counting. Anyway, it brings some mixed feelings. So I thought I wanted to talk about it and see where everybody else is at on that. So we're going to introduce ourselves again first for those that didn't listen to the other episode. And if you didn't listen to it, go back and listen. Matter of fact, go listen to all of them because they're fun. So anyway, we'll start with me. I'm Annette Bybee. It's my podcast. I'm 50. I'm single, divorced. Been divorced for almost 4 years. 3 girls, ages 11, almost 10, and 8. And I'm having a great time podcasting with my peeps here. And we're going to go to the left this time. So we're going to go to Doug next, who is joining us via Zoom. It's not really Skype, Zoom, not that it matters, but he's on the computer.
Hey, I'm Doug Rutherford. I'm in Riverton, south of Salt Lake City.
Uh-oh, Doug, we lost audio. So, oops, did we unplug? Doug, are you there? Okay, sorry about we can hear you now.
Introduce yourself again.
Okay, Doug Rutherford. I live in Riverton, Utah right now. I'm originally from the Seattle area. I moved to Utah about 5 years ago. I have 3 daughters, ages 18, 15, and 12. And I've been divorced since August of 2017.
All right, so a little bit new to the scene, kind of, but you're out there, you're making some waves. Doug's like the man up there in Utah. All right, Drew.
Hi, I'm Drew. I've been divorced about 4.5 years, have 5 kids, have 2 who just got back from missions, who I'm really proud of. They're just great, and all my kids are really great. I love them all, and I'm looking forward to this podcast.
It's fun to see your kids coming home on Facebook. I like watching the pictures. It's cool.
My name is Sarah Worlton, and I'm 37, never married, no kids. Life's great.
My name is Russ. I've never been married.
Hi, Russ.
Hi, Russ.
This is not AA.
Well, my Facebook posts, a lot of them start with, my name is Russ.
Yes, they do. I'm always curious to see what Russ is going to say.
Brace yourself.
Now, I have never been married. I do not have kids. And I am an actor starring in a science fiction series called Replicant Terminus Revelation. I play the character Dr. Ramius Rostnikov.
Say that 3 times fast. That's a lot of alliteration in there.
Gee, that's cool.
Wow. That's awesome, though. Tell us where you can find that again, by the way.
We do have a Facebook page that we have. It's a big professional Facebook page, Replicant Terminus Revelation. If you ever heard of Philip K. Dick's To Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, it's based on a story of that. Think Blade Runner.
Okay. We have blank stares going right now.
There's also a series Blade Runner and Electric Dreams. So we're kind of based off of that, and it's basically replicants, humans fighting each other, that kind of stuff. But I play a scientist that jumps through a lot of portals and wormholes.
That's awesome. That sounds like
Interesting.
fun.
Wow,
I
wow.
still
At
need to
first
come down
I
and
thought
watch
you were
that.
just
Sounds
joking
very
about
cosmic.
this because you joke so much about who you are and what you do, but this is serious.
Yeah, no,
you
this is
actually do
serious.
this.
This is very
Yeah.
serious.
You're like, you're serious.
Yeah, I'm
know.
going to go down there and watch that sometime because I want to see how you jump through a wormhole. This portal is.
It's all done with mirrors.
We're about halfway through the pilot right now. Our episodes are about 45 minutes without commercials, and so we're halfway through the pilot, and we're going to be doing about 12, 13 episode series, and we just got started, and we are off on a good start, so we
Cool.
are doing very well.
Good.
When's it going to come
Wow.
out? When's it going to come out so we can watch it?
It'll probably be out this fall.
Awesome. Oh, well, we'll be following that. That's going to be fun to see one
Cool.
of our own. All right, so down to this topic.
Here we go.
I think I sense a little angst here. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe you all can help me with this because this is one of my weak spots, I think, because like, for instance, this is kind of field group therapy-ish, but that's okay.
That's okay.
I have a friend, and she doesn't listen to my podcast because she told me, I'm not going to listen to your podcast because she recently got divorced. And I think she just doesn't want to feel like she's like jumping into this divorce camp or something. I don't know. But we talk on Facebook a lot, but she doesn't listen to my podcast. Anyway.
And we judge her for that.
Yes, that's right. I judge anyone that does not listen to my podcast. But she got divorced not too long after Valentine's Day. Good time of year for that, right?
Oh,
Recently then.
Yes, very recently.
Very recent.
See, there's a reason I'm telling this story.
Wow.
And I kind of followed her through the divorce. It's been hard. Obviously, all divorces are hard to one extent or another. And but she had seen me go through it, and so she knew that she could talk to me. So we messaged on Facebook about it, and I tried to give her a little advice about how long to wait after divorce and stuff. Because, by the way, my friend Steve Smith and I wrote a book called Dating After Divorce and LDS Survival Guide, which will be published in about 2 weeks, I believe.
Great.
And
Really?
yes,
Wow, cool.
we're
job.
self-publishing, so
Wow.
it's not like Deseret
Oh.
Book. Apparently, Deseret Book doesn't really like single people that much, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, I'm going to be posting it on AnnetteTalks.com, and you can. It's a small book. We're talking like 80 pages. It's more like a leaflet, really. But it's got some practical advice from those of us who've been doing it for a while. And Steve and I have both been doing it together. We've got about 10 years of after divorce dating in the church advice, and so our experience. And so we wrote this up together, and we're going to be publishing it on as a Kindle and as a paperback book.
That's great.
And it's going to be super cheap, and I recommend everyone and their dog to buy it. But anyway,
I'm hoping for a signed copy.
what, Doug?
I'm hoping for a signed copy.
Yeah.
He is a smoothie.
Anyway, so my friend, she told me she was going through this divorce, and I talked to her about it, and I said, and she says, I want to go out on a date. I said, that's fine, take it slow, because when you're first divorced, there's a lot of baggage, there's a lot of emotion. It's difficult, and I made a lot of mistakes that I learned from, and I hope other people can learn from. And so she told me she got onto Mutual and Planet and didn't find anybody. And then like a week later, she messages me, I found the most wonderful guy.
Oh, dear.
Right? And
love, and I don't care who knows
and
it.
it's like, oh, you've been divorced for what, 3 weeks? And so there was a part of
Love
me that, and she had a great story. I mean, it sounded totally legit. It wasn't like a desperation, going after the wrong kind of guy. It was a great story, and I won't share it because it's her story. But a part of me was like, what in tarnation? I have been divorced for almost 4 years, and there's nobody on the horizon, there's nothing out there, right? And she's been divorced for like 3 weeks. She was in a bad marriage for 20 some years. And so this woman's due some happiness. I think it's great for her. But there's a part of me that's like just...
The little gremlins.
Yes, that little jealousy gremlin that says,
Yeah.
why is that happening for you and not for me?
Well,
I have so many thoughts, but you go first.
All right, Russ.
if I were in your position, Annette, the first thing I would want to do is I would want to take on Cher from Moonstruck, slapping Nicolas Cage in the face and say, "Snap out of it."
So wait, are you saying you would slap me and telling me to snap out of it?
No, I would slap. If I were you,
I would slap her.
I would. Yes, you slap her.
You wouldn't be slapping anybody.
Yes.
Because
like, what do you mean by that, Russ? Like,
yeah,
because
who needs to snap out of what?
she needs to step out of the fact that I met the most wonderful man. She's got what Annette calls newly divorced syndrome.
Thank you.
Which
I use
means,
that in the book, NDS.
Yeah, which means she hasn't really
NDS.
taken time to heal. Now, dating is fine, but you see, the thing is when she's newly divorced, okay, and she doesn't have anybody now, the internal hormones react, and that kind of leads to, where I'm going, okay? And in a way, she may try to keep this under control, but still, she's feeling those raging hormones inside, and
That might be part of it, but I'm going to
That's a pretty
say
broad assumption.
a bigger part of it when you're first divorced is you've been in a bad situation for a very long time.
Right.
You get out of it, and first of all, you want to have some fun. This was how I felt. Like, I spent almost 9 years trying to keep a bad marriage together. I felt like I was constantly taping this jalopy. Like, I can keep this, like there's a duct tape. I can keep this thing on the road. I can keep this thing on the road. And then once it's over and the divorce is final, it's like, party! Like I want to go out and have a good time. And I want a man to show me a good time, because for 9 years I was in a relationship where this man was not showing me a good time.
Yeah.
And so I don't think, the hormone might be there, but I think there's an emotional need to get out there and feel appreciated, loved, all those things that you haven't felt for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
I can
Yep.
see why people jump. A lot of times it's a mistake. However, I have to say there are genuinely times where someone is put in your path and the Spirit's going to say, I'll make it work for you. I know the timing is not what it usually is or should be, but I'm going to make it work. And for her, maybe that's the case.
Right. And I think, I'm hearing a lot of...
Yes, I'm sighing, Drew. Yes.
And so this is Sarah, and I've never been married, never been engaged. That's just my deal. It's where I'm at. But so I can't sit here and say that I totally get it, because I've not been in a marriage, good or bad, and have it end, and then so I'm not going to try to, empathize, because I haven't walked that walk. I have had friends that have, gotten engaged, and it's so easy for them, and oh my gosh, they go on mutual, and 5 seconds later, poof, there he is. And the gremlins do come out. Mm-hmm. But I also, when we say marriage envy, that is such an ugly word. It really is. And because you are teeing yourself up for comparison. And comparison is
it's the thief of joy.
It's the thief of joy. Mm. And it's so hard, because it's a righteous desire. It's something that we want. It's something that we want again if the first one didn't work out, or maybe even the second, who knows. But I think, and I just have so many thoughts I'm still processing, but whether
I'm still going to use
or not,
the title though, because it's
whether or not that person was in that amazing relationship, and maybe it's a rebound, maybe it'll flame out, maybe it's, good to go for the next 50 years. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Because everyone's life is such on a different path, and is it hard to be the one who's single again and you see your friends be in relationships and flourish? Yeah, it is.
Well, yeah, and you know what?
But
I
then
gotta tell
again,
you, I was in the same position you are right now before I got married, because I was almost 38 when I got married. So I went through a good 20 years of waiting, right? Waiting and wondering. And I don't think I managed that time as well as I could have.
But were you waiting or were you living?
I have to say both. I have to say there were times that I felt like I was just waiting stupidly. I think I've learned from that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is there was a long time of, will it ever happen, right? And so then it finally did happen, and I'm back.
Yeah.
And so it's hard when you're divorced if you've gone through this and you're going through a second time. And I feel like,
and that's something that that has not been my path, and for whatever reason, but I think there's just so much of life to be lived. Whether you're, and if that's their point in their path, that they are jumping off a cliff hand in hand with Romeo and Juliet, whatever, and they all both die.
I know, that's suicide, right?
No, I know, I'm like, bad example. But you know what I mean, bad example. But I think, and I don't want to sound insensitive, because I am the sum total of my experiences and you are the sum total of yours, But I think in this day and age, I think we would all benefit by taking a collective chill pill and just saying that,
well,
it's all good.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to pair off of what Sarah said here, because she is absolutely correct. When I was in my early 20s in a singles ward, I felt exactly the way Annette feels when it comes to marriage envy, because there were a lot of couples every single year getting engaged, and I was like, when's it going to happen for me? And people in their late 20s, early 30s were looking at me saying,
why are you talking in the high-pitched voice?
Well, no. No, what they said was, you're just a young puppy. Live your life, man. Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
And so...
Actually, there's a lot to it.
And so what happened was, when I got to my late 20s, like 28, 29, I felt that my time in a singles ward was coming to an end, which it was, because there were people born a decade after I was that were coming in, and they were going to be the ones taking over. And so I felt like my time was really short, that I needed to find someone to marry, because if not, then I'll be graduating into a family ward, and I'll be surrounded by people with... that are the age that I am, and they're married with kids. I'm thinking, man, what happened? And I got some advice from a good friend of mine who happens to be a trucker. He says, Russ, when you reach your 30s, and you start being transferred to a family ward, it's going to be hard at first. It's going to be awkward. Because you're used to being in a singles ward, and now that you're not, and you're in a family ward surrounded by married people with kids that are with kids, and those married couples your age, it's awkward. But over time, you'll learn to live with it, and it won't be so bad. And over time, he was right. And so when it came to marriage envy, all that pent up anxiety that I had just kind of left, and I kind of sort of felt indifferent about it. And the feeling of indifference, there's good and bad things about that. It means you don't really care where people engage. You're happy for them, but if it doesn't happen to you, it's not as big a deal.
I don't think that's indifference. I think that's acceptance.
Well, maybe, but on the other hand, it's I choose to go on and live life the way I do and enjoy it as much as I can. But the thing is when I say indifference, it means that I'm not necessarily making an effort to go out and find a wife either, because it's been drilled into my head that love finds you when you're not looking for it.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before.
And there's some truth for that, and I think there's some truth to that. But I also think that when you are living your most authentic self and you are doing things that make you happy, whatever that looks like, whether if it's Star Wars convention or digging a hole in Mexico or whatever, it doesn't matter, or podcasting, then you are letting your light shine, and like attracts like, And when you said I need to go find someone to marry, no, you need to find the right person, and that sometimes takes time. I hate more than anything, well, why aren't you married? Well, because I'm ugly. What do you expect me to say? Do you know what I mean? I say that in jest. But I mean, it's just, I find it to be so silly.
Yeah.
It's because I haven't hit that point on my path yet.
Well, it's a dumb question.
It's a dumb question.
Because who's going to, nobody knows the answer to that.
No, and so
just
just live your life and embrace your path.
Well, one person that I think we could take an example from and learn from is Kristen Oakes, who happens to be the wife of President
Dallin
H. Oakes.
Yes.
She didn't get married until she was in her 60s, I believe. And it took President Oaks' wife dying before he could find her. And during the time that she was not married, she was teased by her friends and family for, being a spinster and never being able to find that husband. And she got it all her life, 20s, 30s, 40s, until the time that she got married. But she decided to be the type of person that she wanted to attract rather than just go around and complain and wondering why things weren't happening for her.
Exactly.
Look what happened to her. And she is a person of what I call the gold standard that a lot of people in our situation should look up to.
She is gold standard. Do you have something, Doug? Sorry, I hear noises coming from you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, so based on some of the stuff that Sarah was saying, I think it feels like maybe we're dancing around a different question, and the question that comes to my mind is marriage really what we want? Or is it a more basic question is, do we just want to be happy?
I think that's...
We're making an assumption maybe that marriage is the way to be happy, and that may not necessarily... I hear from so many people the same line, which is, I would rather be happily single than unhappily married.
And exactly, and I think that's a better question to ask. Like, am I going to be happy when I'm married? Well, if you're not happy now, what makes you think that that's going to make you happy? Is
right.
it, because I feel like, we're taught that these are, righteous desires and it's great and all that, but it might not be in your wheelhouse in this lifetime, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're less worthy, not as smart, attractive, funny, witty, or, I can make a good pot roast. Like, it doesn't mean that I have arrived. And, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And if your life is a single life, then it is up to you to make it a good life. And what makes you think that a spouse is gonna poof, I am happiness? It's not the case. There's so much life to be lived. Now, I'm saying that because I am the sum total of my experiences, like I said before, and this is the lens that I choose to look through. And some people, might be divorced with kids, and they might be like, I just really want a spouse, and I want to build a life with someone, but you also gotta be careful that you don't just let your envy be the driver.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to this real quick, and then I'm going to let Drew talk because I can see he's chomping at the bit. But your question of do you want to be married or do you want to be happy, Doug? I think I am happy. I would say for the most part I am. I'm building a life that I want. I'm doing things. I'm daring, right? I'm daring greatly, like
Brene Brown.
Yes.
Yay, I'm reading
I've been reading a lot of Brene.
Yes.
I am on a journey.
Champion.
I love Brene Brown. I'm on a journey. I have been building a life for myself.
You're braving the wilderness.
Yes. I feel like I'm doing a lot of things to make the life that I'm supposed to make for myself. But, and I'm sure some of you have experienced this, I also received a blessing a few years ago after a bad breakup that said that there is a man being prepared for me and that he's going to be a strong leader in the home and a few other things. But so I know that it's going to happen at some point. And I am, like I said, I am happy, but there's a part of me that knows that I'll feel more complete when I have that companion by my side. Okay? And so I cannot get away from that. It's there. That's always there. It doesn't make me unhappy. It's just that there's a missing puzzle piece, right? And so when I see other people get that missing puzzle piece, I envy them.
Yeah.
And I also want to say that I also know that remarriage, especially when you've been divorced, is not always going to be this, not Romeo and Juliet, but it's not always going to be the white picket fence, two people get together and like it could have been maybe in your 20s where you just see it's a real simple situation where two people get married and they get the white picket fence house and it's all good. Because whenever I talk to a guy, and he's usually divorced around my age or maybe widowed, but there's also other kids. He's got kids,
yeah,
right? He's got an ex. and he might not even live in the state. And I usually don't do long distance relationships, and people keep trying them. I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. But I tend to futurize, and my counselor's like, stop futurizing. But I look down the road and I can see, if I married that guy and I tried to put his kids together with my kids, I mean, there's a plethora of problems that are associated with trying to make that work. So I do not have rose-colored glasses when it comes to marriage. I don't. I just feel like it is in the cards for me, and it's hard to not see it happening yet sometimes when I watch other people doing it. Go, Drew.
Okay, this has been a great discussion. It's engendered a whole range of thoughts.
I'll bet.
In my mind. First of all, your friend, my initial reaction was, that's probably rebound. But I have known people who've found someone within a short period of time and been very happy. I know several who have re-divorced.
Yeah.
Again, by doing that too.
Yeah.
So it can go both ways. I felt like for me, I needed to heal. And I needed to find myself as a single adult, having children and an ex, and because I had sort of lost myself in my marriage, hoping that would help keep things together, but it didn't actually do that. So I had to find myself, and I wanted to unpack my baggage, before finding someone, because I'm looking for someone who has their bags unpacked, has their baggage unpacked, who's done their work, as Brene Brown would say, done their work. And so those are important thoughts. For me, I think the happiness is a great concept. I remember going to Fireside, it was in Draper, I think, in Utah, about a guy he spoke about there's as many people who would fill his chapel just like all you singles who wish they weren't married. Because they're not happy either. And marriage does not necessarily bring this happiness. It's really you being happy yourself. So self-acceptance, I found, is one of the greatest blessings there is. And I can accept someone else getting engaged and being married and being happy for them. And I feel good about that when I accept myself.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of effort into finding someone because I know that's God's plan for me. So sometimes I feel discouraged, like, why is it taking so long? Why can't I just find them? But this is part of the process, of finding.
Wait, what were we saying earlier? What was our quote from the earlier podcast?
Trust the process.
This is...
Trust the process?
The path is being lit one lantern at a time.
No, I'll think of it later. Sorry.
Did I say
Okay.
I'm sorry, I interrupted
Yeah,
you. Keep going.
that's fine. But you guys have another quote about the path. But it is a process that we have to go through. And that's part of God's plan. So, anyway, I'm happy for those who get married. I also know that, like you were saying earlier, Annette, that when you marry someone who's been divorced, they have their kids, you have yours. You got to blend together somehow. And they have exes, you have exes. There's all sorts of...
I was thinking the same.
And they all live where?
In Texas.
In Texas. And so there's all kinds of things like, does she get money from her ex-spouse?
Wow.
Does she not? How does that affect your finances? There are lots.
That's why we wrote a book on it. It's complicated.
It's very complicated. And there's lots of really big questions that are out there. So it's not like when you were in the 20s and you could make decisions together, and there weren't a lot of those. Those ramifications did not exist then.
Yeah, it used to just be the two of you. Not anymore.
The other thought I have is that I sometimes doubt my ability to choose because I really was unaware. I was totally naive when I first got married about what life was about, who I was, who she was.
How old were you?
And I was 25.
Okay.
And so, but I've realized a lot with the healing work I've done that I'm much more mature then. And so I've started to gain more trust in myself, that I can make those determinations, that I can judge better, and I know what to look for, and what not to look for that's not. Am I saying this right? What to look for, what I look for, and what are the qualities, and what's there.
Right.
And I think we are, we're reflections of each other. Right? That you say things that you're holding up a mirror to myself. And I'm like, oh, and we have these tiny little moments of discovery, and what I realized recently, as far as like the envy and the little like gremlins that we have to, be ninja warriors, to quote Brene Brown again, for, is their happiness has nothing to do with me, right? That's their life. There is so much going on with their relationship that I have absolutely nothing to do with. I know this person, and they shared with me their life story, or they're like, hey, guess what? They're happy news, but really, does it have anything to do with my ability to love or to receive love or my steps along my path? No, not at all. And sometimes that's a hard thing for my head and my heart to like connect on, but that's what I have to tell myself, like, your happiness is great. I honor it. I love it. It has nothing to do with what's going on in my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
no, it's totally. I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I tend to
and my
forget
friend
that
told me
sometimes.
that because I was having a moment that, like, I was turning green and all this garbage that we do, especially as women, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're terrible
The
at that.
gremlins were in your thunderhead.
I think we do a lot of comparisons.
We're the worst. We can be. And so she brought that to light, and I'm like, okay. And that helps because I have my life. Yeah.
There's an elephant in the room I'd also like to address regarding those that have never been married and do not have children. When it comes to dating people who have been married and have children, because there's a process that we kind of go through, and there are questions in our minds that we feel that we have to answer. And one of them is okay. That person's going to have an ex, and that person's probably going to be a jerk. 2, because we're not daddy,
Most likely.
because we're not mommy or daddy, the biological parent that is. Chances are the kids are probably not going to be very nice to us, and how are we going to handle that? And 3, I think one of the questions we ask is, can they handle our kinks, our quirks, our weirdness?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
we all have the weirdness question.
We all have.
Yeah.
And I think these are valid questions because it's like I'm now becoming an instant stepmom or integrating myself into an existing family where there's traditions and inside jokes and sacred moments that I just wasn't a part of, But I think you just have to all take it all in stride,
Well, it all boils down to faith, really. Okay,
Yes.
and taking your time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's very important. You want to get to know.
I haven't met the
people.
kids, but we're engaged. Red light,
no.
floodlight, problem.
When I see 2 people that are recently divorced rushing into marriage, I always think, there's
Good luck.
slow this way down.
It'll flame out.
Slow it way down.
Yeah.
That's right.
And another thing is you attract the person you're like. And so, if I, and I'm just saying this as an example, hypothetical, okay, if I being
for a friend.
someone, being somebody with either a negatively realistic view on life and in the way I process, want to attract somebody like Sarah, who's sitting across from me, who's just like, bubbly and has a positive outlook on life, then chances are it ain't going to work because...
I know, yin and yang.
Because you attract people that are kind of like you, okay? And people that are very positive and have great looks on life aren't going to go for people who are always negative and complaining all the time. It's just not going to happen.
It's not.
No. I think it's important to look for someone who you understand how they think about life and how you think, so you know how their mind works and how. And comparing that, I think, is really, really important.
And what you said. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No. Finish your thoughts.
So you were
you
were talking
Sorry.
about early on, Annette, about feeling completed. When you get married. I've had a lot of thoughts about that, and I feel like that you should become the most complete you can be to be a whole person. And if 2 whole people come together to be married, then you have a much better chance of success, and realizing that I'm not looking for my better half, I am my better half. But do we want connection? And do we want to blend our lives together to have that joy of they care about me, love me, I care about them and love them.
Exactly.
And we mutually serve each other and we mutually care each other. Of course, those are our innate desires that are God-given.
Yeah.
That's the Shel Silverstein book. You guys know what I'm talking about?
The Light in the Attic?
What?
The Light in the Attic? Which one?
No, it's something about a ball rolling downhill.
Oh, the missing O.
Yes,
Yeah,
the missing O.
Yeah, I have that on my table.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. And when my counselor gave that to me when we were having a discussion like
My
this.
friend sent
Apparently I need to get
one too.
reminded of it every once in a while, but it's
Yeah.
basically about this like an
The
O.
rolling ball and the missing piece.
And
or
it's looking for a
something.
missing piece, and it can never find one that would fit just right. It
Yeah,
was too small
yeah.
or too big or whatever.
Right,
And
right.
eventually, it turned into an O. It found another O, and they went on the trip together or something. And they were
Yeah.
side by side instead of one
Right,
being
right.
completed by the other person.
You know, and like
Right.
that is so true. I mean, flip the tables. Like, I met this guy and he's great, but he's not whole. He's perfect. Like, I mean, come on, you don't want that.
Yeah,
person.
nobody wants that.
You want someone who it just fits. And another thing that, I mean, own little personal soapbox. When you're trying to be a whole person and find that whole person and find out your quirks and find out the way that they think, that takes time.
Yes.
It does. It takes
Yes.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to let someone in that fast. Like 3 months and you've got me figured out. I'm 38 and I still don't have myself figured out. Do you know what I
right.
mean? Like I
Yeah.
have a lot figured out, but there's no way
And not only
for
that,
me personally, like, take your time.
and taking time is really important because they need to earn the right for me to share myself with them, and
Yeah, and
and
to-
vice
Yes.
versa.
You know,
And
I
vice
mean,
versa.
and this
Yes.
whole
You know?
thing, I mean, we're quoting a lot of Brene Brown. Shout out, she has a Netflix special coming out on the 19th. What?
Oh, awesome.
Anyway, but
Netflix, right?
she talks
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
talks a lot about vulnerability, you know, and you can't be vulnerable with someone for the sake of being vulnerable. You have to know that whatever you're sharing, that they can handle the weight of.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen on a first date.
No.
Right.
And if it does,
Right.
run.
Yes.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Artificial.
Because it never really happens
Because
on a
I'm
first date.
trying to
It can't.
connect, so here's all my demons. I don't want to know that.
I just realized we've kind of left Doug out a little bit. I'm discovering that it's easy to do with the computer. So I want to check in, Doug, and see. I see you writing things. Were you writing questions down in case you got a chance to talk? Or
Yeah, I'm jotting down some thoughts.
what do you share,
Thank
please?
you. So Sarah used the phrase, "I'm a whole person, they're a whole person," and I guess I have a little bit of a different perspective on that, in the sense that I guess ever since I got divorced, I haven't felt like the same whole person. I do feel like there is a little bit part of me that's missing from my puzzle, because I believe that my person that I'm looking for has those missing pieces that I need to complete my puzzle, because I think that I'm my best version of myself when I have someone to share my life with who also wants to share their life with me, because I have someone that I can serve and focus on and care about, and I can be made to feel needed and wanted and useful. And I didn't always have that, even when I was married, and that's still something that I kind of want. And you did mention, yeah, I do a lot of activities right now, but I'll be honest with you, when I find that person, I'm going to drop all that. I'm going to focus on that person.
Amen, brother. I feel the same way. I go to all those activities now, but right guy comes along, I'll drop him like a hot potato. I'm done with that
I'm
guy.
not going to drop my friends, and I still feel like I can still be helpful and friends with them. But when I find that person, meaning that if I get married, I know I no longer belong at those activities. I've found my person. Those activities have served their purpose.
Yes.
That's the point.
Right. And I think, don't just try to find the person in one little watering hole, you know?
No.
Like,
No.
it's mutual or no. Oh, gosh. Cast the wider net.
Right. And which reminds me, we're going to be doing an episode next week called It's Not Mutual, and there's going to be online dating stories.
Oh.
It's going to be great.
It's
So
gonna-
stay tuned. It's going to be
Buckle
a lot of fun. I have some stories of my own, and I have some
We're going to
friends.
change the names, right?
My topic's going to be a little bit more extreme. I'll have to kind of cut it down and make it more PG, because I do have a dating experience that is a little out there.
Yeah, make a PG version.
No surprises.
You can allude to stuff.
This podcast is rated E for everyone.
So I guess, I mentioned a little bit different perspective at the beginning is about, do we want to be married or we're happy? And I guess if we are feeling marriage envy, what is it about that that we feel like we're missing in our lives besides happiness. And we can find happiness when we're single, right? I have all the time. I've done stuff off of my bucket list. Last year I went to the Phantom of the Opera by myself, third row. Wicked awesome. Loved it.
I bet you cried.
No.
'Cause I know you pretty well. I cry. I cry when I watch Phantom.
I didn't cry that time. I was so excited.
Oh.
Hey, I jumped off the stratosphere last year, and it was awesome.
Did you bungee jump?
Don't start
Yes, I did.
jumping
Jumped off the
stories because I
stratosphere.
jumped out of a freaking plane last year. So don't. Anyway, but yeah, go on, Doug.
How'd that go?
But
Sure.
while I do some of those things off of my bucket list, there's still a part of me that would absolutely love to share those things with somebody and build positive memories. The stuff that I did do early on in my marriage or whatever,
But don't.
that I still
hope
have positive memories for. They're great.
Yeah, but I hope you don't let the absence of that person rob the joy of those moments. I mean, it would be really great, like, oh, it'd be so awesome to be here on this beach with, the love of my life,
Oh yeah,
right?
we don't want to do that.
Right.
You can't
Right.
you can't let the absence
Who's
of
done that?
you can't let the absence of that person rob the joy of the moment,
That's
because yeah, it would be awesome to, share that with them. But if you're in the moment thinking, oh, this would be so much better if, then living in that moment, you are robbing yourself of joy.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you're not
That's
really
right.
living in the moment then.
You're
You're
not
not,
living in
you're
the
not being
moment.
present. No.
You're saying, oh, it's not good enough
Right.
because
Right.
I'm alone or I'm with a group of girlfriends.
Well, and that's kind of what the whole thing is about. Are we focusing on our lack or are we focusing on what we have?
Right.
And I think the other big thing, and it's a recurring theme in my life, is how much do I trust Heavenly Father?
Right.
Obviously, I'm single right now because I'm supposed to be single right now.
Yep.
If
That's
I
right.
wasn't supposed to be single right now, I wouldn't
right.
be single right now. It's like my the other gospel doctrine teacher in our ward talked about this a few weeks ago, and she said she's trying to become more zen, right? I'm in this moment because I'm supposed to be in this moment. I'm in this place because I'm supposed to be in this place. So obviously, I'm single right now because I'm supposed to be single right now. I mean, because you guys know me, I go to the activities, I'm on Planet, I'm on Mutual. I mean, I'm out there. I am not sitting at home waiting for someone to knock on my door, except when I'm waiting for a package, right? So,
Amazon, what?
yeah, I obviously
Can we order a spouse on Amazon Prime?
I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. I'm single because I'm supposed to be single. And if I really am going to trust in the Lord, then I need to be okay with that, and I need to be okay with other people because. Extending that further, the people that I see engaged on Facebook are engaged because they're supposed to be engaged right now, whether it's for good or ill. I mean, honestly, not all marriages are going to work. We know that. But this is what is supposed to happen in their life right now. It's happening, and I need to be cool with that.
Let me ask you a question, because this is a question that I'm sure a lot of singles in our position have. Are you okay with being surrounded by couples who engage in public display of affection? I mean cuddling.
Totally
I mean
different
cuddling. No,
Totally
no.
different.
It is. No, it is part of the topic because
Oh, okay.
because sometimes we're kind of in situations where we're with couples who are snuggling and we're kind of like the third wheel, kind of like fourth wheel, and it can be awkward.
It can
Okay.
be super uncomfortable. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the level, I guess, but I've been in situations where I felt like a third wheel and I Houdini'd out of there as fast as humanly possible because I just wasn't comfortable, So, I mean, I don't know.
That's a little bit different, really.
No,
I mean,
but
It
it's
is, it
different.
is.
Because it's like,
There have been
But
times I've been comfortable with that, and times I haven't. It depends on the people I'm with.
depends on the situation.
But it's just like it kind of relates to the whole marriage envy thing, because that a lot of engaged couples are going to be doing that.
Okay,
and
frankly-
if you're still single, it can either be awkward or
I have back scratch envy, okay? When I see people in church scratching each other's backs, I'm envious. And we're gonna end it right there because we're out of time. But I was gonna put that out there.
Back scratch envy.
When I find a man, he's gonna be scratching my back in church. All right? I'm making up for lost time. All right, so thank you all for joining. This has been a great discussion, and I'm glad that we did it because it has been therapeutic for me.
Good.
And I'm
Good,
glad I got it
good.
out of my system, and I
Good.
got to talk to some level-headed people to help me see things a little more clearly. So thank you for joining me, everyone. Thank you for listening out there. And remember to find this podcast on AnnetteTalks.com, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube, where you're going to go and subscribe now.
That's right.
Thank you for listening to LDS Unmarried Life, where LDS singles gather.
I'm gonna bloom where I'm planted. I won't take things for granted. Come what may, bring it on. I'm gonna love it.